From Sony's space... From
Sony's PlayStation.
I thought that. From Sony's PlayStation comes the greatest hits. All your favorite... From Sony's... I'm sorry. All your old favorites.
Like the soft sounds of
and the gentle crack of Sophia's whip.
even the hilarious antics of Sweet Tooth, that marvelous clown.
And all for just 20...
Like the soft sounds of swarming missiles.
That's right. The PlayStation's a mere $149. You can also get leading titles.
Like Crash Bandicoot and Jet Moto. Moto.
Advocate back again to take you through the wonders of the second issue of PlayStation Underground. 2 whole discs bundled full of demos, videos and other goodies for the North American PlayStation player back in 1997. This time this issue has a theme, and that theme is Final Fantasy VII. Yes, we'll be seeing a lot of content relating to Final Fantasy VII, as well as other JRPGs and a few sports titles thrown in. Are you ready? I hope so, it'd be weird if you weren't. First thing we find on this disc is a video preview of Major League Baseball 98.
Welcome to the All-Star Game. The Western Conference All-Stars control the tip. Gary Payton.
Right, the first actual demo is for NBA ShootOut 97. Also known as Total NBA 97 in Europe, this humble basketball game features rosters from the 1996-97 season. This game was considered a good improvement over the previous game in the series, with many critics praising the sound and graphics that made up this authentic NBA experience. So, yeah, if you're really into classic basketball on classic consoles, look no further than this one right here.
Number 40, Sean Kemp. Number 1, Anthony Hardaway. Brick. Hakeem Olajuwon with the windmill. Offensive foul.
Next we have the demo for Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. Combining Street Fighter 2 with something like Columns, Puyo Puyo, or possibly Tetris Attack. You clear some coloured gems in your playfield which will fill up your opponent's field with garbage. However, you can only clear gems by using a special crash gem of the same colour, which means it's very easy to fill up your playfield with useless gems that don't match the colours around them. The more gems you are able to clear, the more damage your character can deal to your opponent. This game uses characters from the Street Fighter series as well as the Darkstalkers series. Reviews at release were positive, with many critics enjoying the combination of Street Fighter and puzzle game concept. Two-player modes were considered extremely addictive and challenging. The demo was a quick one-player battle. Go on an underwater scavenging adventure in the demo for Treasures of the Deep. As an underwater treasure hunter, you use various submersibles to search the oceans for shipwrecks in the hopes of grabbing all their glittery goodness. But beware, as you not only have sharks to contend with, but also competing treasure hunters, who are not afraid to sink you to get you out of the way. Anything you find down there can be put towards upgrading your equipment. The demo gives you one mission to play. Over in the import section, we have the demo for Porsche Challenge. A simple yet surprisingly fun little racing game, where you have multiple characters, each with their own racing style and personality, all driving the 1995 Porsche Boxster on a number of tracks, including one based on Porsche's own test track. Each track can change slightly during each lap, with shortcuts and barriers opening and closing throughout. It feels like a game that someone clearly had fun designing. The demo gives you the USA track to race on. Finishing off with a preview for Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Now on to the briefing section, which this issue is all about interviewing the producer of Final Fantasy VII, Hironobu Sakaguchi.
In August of '95, one of the US's largest CG conventions, SIGGRAPH, was held in LA. At that time, we were not sure what the next generation RPG game should look like. So, as an experiment, we created a CG-based, game-like interactive demo to present at the show. It focused on battle scenes that were 100% real-time and polygon-based. This became the seed of Final Fantasy VII, and it was then that we decided to make this a CG-based game. When we discussed designing the field scenes as illustration or CG-based, we came up with the idea to eliminate the connection between the movies and the fields. Without using blackout at all and maintaining the quality at the same time, we would make the movie stop at one cut and make the characters move around on it. We tried to make it controllable even during movies. As a result of using a lot of motion data plus CG effects in still images, it turned out to be a mega-capacity game, and therefore we had to choose the CD-ROM as our media. In other words, we became too aggressive and got ourselves into trouble.
Following that is the behind-the-scenes section, which talks more about how the power of the PlayStation benefits RPGs such as Final Fantasy VII and Wild Arms.
The September release of Final Fantasy VII, PlayStation is becoming the platform of choice for next-generation RPGs, with games produced for the PlayStation console transforming the RPG experience.
Role-playing games in general will give you great stories, great characters, great challenges, and great things to discover. What the next generation gaming is doing is letting you see the worlds, letting you feel the worlds. It's very much in your face and you're in it versus thinking about it.
Role-playing games in the past were really story-driven, and you didn't really pay much attention to the graphics of the games because they weren't very detailed. But nowadays it's more like a movie where you're really, the graphic aspect and the vision is really what's bringing you into the game.
The CD-ROM format makes this movie experience possible.
The extra memory really allows for the developer to put all he's got into the game and really develop the world, develop the characters, develop the storyline to its maximum potential without having to worry about the space limitations of the cartridge.
The differences between the 16-bit and CD-ROM formats are especially apparent during battle sequences.
On the opening sequence of Final Fantasy III, you really get to see some of the limits of the 16-bit medium by its a single force perspective in which basically the whole game's played through. With the 3D combat system in Wild Arms for the PlayStation, it really adds to the combat by showing different angles of the attacks, showing a top view when you go in and strike at the opponent, or a farther away view as you cast a spell on a monster, and it really adds to the feeling of being there and taking place in life and death struggle.
There's still more to see with the Event Center section, which talks about NBA ShootOut 97 with the Washington Bullets. We saw a demo for NBA ShootOut 97 on the previous issue.
What's going on? What y'all doing, man?
Love, Jerry.
Can I play?
Come on, shoot it.
No good.
Oh, man.
They continue to work as a team.
Time out, man. Time.
I'm not doing so good.
Y'all gonna make a substitution, man.
I see you guys got me passing too much on here, man. This is a close game right here, baby.
It throws up a brick. Can I play?
No,
Can I
Jerry.
play?
Next game.
I'm gonna tell my mom.
Today's matchup will be the Houston Rockets and the Washington Bullets.
I'm playing down to my level of competition now.
Welcome to the download station, where you have 3 downloadable saves ready for your memory card. These saves are for Soul Blade, which unlocks the Soul Edge character and gives everyone an extra weapon, Rage Racer, which unlocks an extra car in first class, and Cool Borders, unlocking the Snowman character. This issue introduces a new section, Research and Development. This section is all about Yaroze, Sony's premier indie dev program. Anyone wishing to develop their own games for the console could call a number and order a special black region-free PlayStation, which came bundled with special programs and documentation, allowing them to develop their own games. These indie games could then be submitted to Sony's Yaroze website, and the best examples will be featured on various demo discs for all to play. And these weren't just demos, oh no. These were the full versions of those indie games. Full games for free on your demo discs. This issue came with 2 Net Yaroze games, so let's take a quick look at them, shall we?
PlayStation games in a couple years, and you're going to end up with the PlayStation having a much deeper and broader library than some of the other systems that don't have something like this.
The first Net Yaroze game is called Funky Beans. It mostly just seems to be a discount Tetris, which can be played with a second player. But hey, that's not bad, given it's a full game after all.
Yeehaw! 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 Yeehaw!
The second Net Yaroze game is called The Appointed Station, and it's a space shoot-'em-up. This game seems to swap very quickly from super easy to bullet hell hard. In the previous issue, the Tech Q&A section asked players to submit questions to the magazine, which promised would be answered in future issues. Well, this issue's Tech Q&A section is going to answer some of those questions, particularly how is a PlayStation character created, and why does the PlayStation use CDs instead of cartridges?
It'll be the foundation for movement. Finally, it's time to render the character and see it for the first time in 3D. Characters in Spawn move with the aid of motion capture. This means a real human being's motion has been recorded by computer, then transferred to the 3D character. The result is lifelike action. And that's a quick look.
Why does PlayStation use CDs instead of cartridges?
Because studies show when the urge to play strikes, CDs deliver more of the ingredient doctors recommend most: games. A typical cartridge holds 12 megabytes uncompressed. A CD holds 650 megabytes uncompressed. The result? CDs hold hundreds of megabytes, over 50 times the data, of extra game levels and full motion video for longer, more lasting game satisfaction.
Now we have the Code Archive. Loads of cheats and hints for many of the games that were out at the time. Right there for players to peruse. Lastly, we have the Bulletin. All sorts of things that don't fit anywhere else. Here you'll find information regarding getting online, all the secrets from the previous issue, contests, classifieds, clubber, and credits. Alright, we're all done with Disc 1. Now it's time for Disc 2, which brings us 2 playable demos and 2 video previews. That might not sound like a lot, but just wait. Let's get straight into it. That's right. What would a Final Fantasy VII themed demo disc be without an actual playable demo of Final Fantasy VII? You can't be a PlayStation enthusiast without having Final Fantasy VII in your collection after all. The first Final Fantasy game to take advantage of 3D graphics and full motion video. This JRPG is so big in scale, it required 3 CDs to hold it all. Players control Cloud Strife, a mercenary turned against his previous job as a soldier once he learned the mega corporation responsible for his city and his job was sucking the life energy from the planet. He is forced to travel the world, meeting a colourful cast of characters, and discovers love and betrayal. Reviews on release, well, I'm sure you don't need me to tell you this game became a critical success, with many considering it one of the greatest video games ever made. If you're interested in playing it but are put off by the dated graphics, there has been a remake released in 2020. This demo is quite lengthy, putting you at the start of the game with a full party, letting you tackle the Mako reactor. Next is a preview for Saga Frontier. Now we have a demo for Bushido Blade. This one-on-one fighting game tries to stand out from the rest by having a radically different health system. In this game, there's no traditional health bar as such. Instead, the game features a body damage system, where attacking specific limbs will severely hamper your opponent's ability to fight. For example, getting a hit on your opponent's legs will cripple them, forcing them to crawl. Getting a hit right in the face pretty much means instant death, which is why it is vital to keep your defenses up. Parry and blocking has never been more important, making this a pretty ambitious game for the time. Reviews on release were very positive, with many critics praising the innovative combat system, and how it rewards those who try to read their opponents to get that upper hand. The demo puts you in a practice battle, letting you try out the combat firsthand. Finally, we have a preview for Final Fantasy Tactics. Our time with issue 2 must now come to an end. We've seen a lot of neat stuff, mostly pertaining to Final Fantasy VII, and there's plenty here to get hyped about the game itself. As was the case before, these discs hide even more secrets that can only be discovered with special cheat codes to be inputted at the correct time. But that's for another video. I hope this brought back some nostalgic memories for you. Want to see even more demo discs? Subscribe to my channel to find an entire playlist of me covering demo discs from the UK, and stick around for more coverage of PlayStation Underground. Find a link to my Discord in the description if you want to chat with me and other PlayStation enthusiasts. As always, I'm the Advocate, and I'm wondering just how heavy that sword really was.